biggest unanswered question is, where is the money?
And faces off with Iran-Contra investigators and often
I'm not going to tell falsehoods to the American people. I'll leave that to others. You got nerve.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Good afternoon. This is The Raw Nerve right here on EdgeMediaSource.com. Hi there. I'm Susan Corcoran. I'm your host. Every Sunday from 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Yeah, that's whole time. How about 5 to 7? That'll work. Oh, I hope y'all having a better week than we started out. I'll tell you that. I really, really do. Sitting behind the glass on the boards for me today is Caleb, and I really want to thank him for helping me out today. Appreciate it. How has your week been? I'll tell you. It's been unflippin' believable. I am officially brain boggled. This has, of course, been pretty much talked to death. I agree. I admit this has been talked to death. But there's certain aspects of this whole week that really haven't come up much. And I know because I've been following this like a bloodhound on a trail, I'm telling you. I don't know about you, but Saturday I was glued to my TV. I could not turn the news off. The station that was running the constant feed of the manhunt, I could not turn it off. And I'm watching TV. I've got my computer on my lap. I'm on Facebook. I'm talking to my friends about, this is going on. They're saying this now. They're saying that. Boy, I stirred up a hornet's nest. When they had him and they knew that the 19-year-old was in the boat, I posted, for the love of God, don't kill him. Take this boy alive. Oh, Lord. Did that start a firestorm? Finally, I got it through to people that what I meant by that, not that I think, poor baby, he's just a kid. Yeah, no, he's 19. He's old enough to know better. My concern, and what I was so worried about, I'm fed up. I'm absolutely fed up with these horrible atrocities happening. And the perpetrators take the easy way out. A bullet to the head. And people go, oh, that's over. Life goes back to normal. No, it doesn't. I want these people to live. I want them to be caught, and I want answers. I think the people who were maimed and killed in Boston want answers. Why? There's never anyone to ask why. Some spawn of Satan walks into a school in Sandy Hook and mows down children and teachers. And there's no one to ask, why would you do this? What led you to this? What prompted you to think this was an okay thing to do when you got up this morning? Because I got to tell you, I really want to know. Is it something in the water? Is it, I have bad potty training? What? This whole situation was just, talking about Boston here, the marathon bombing. That was so beyond bizarre and so surreal as to be almost unbelievable. Hard to imagine that anyone, and now, bear with me here. I've done some reading. I've done a lot of reading. And I can tell you right now that both of the Tsarnaev brothers, bear with me, I'm not good with foreign names like this. I'm just never have been. Both of these brothers were not stupid men. They were both going to good schools, doing well. So you can't go back and say, well, they were crazy. No, they weren't. They didn't understand. Yes, they did. Their parents come over here years ago seeking political asylum. From what, it hasn't been brought out because I'd really like to know. What were they getting asylum from? It's usually pretty specific. You can't just be in another country and say, well, I'm a refugee from Syria and I'm really, really fed up with the 2 years of fighting and bloodshed over here and I want to come to America and feel safe. That won't cut it. They will probably let you come over legally if you go through the system. But that doesn't get you asylum. So I would really, really, really like to know what it was the asylum was granted for. They come over with their 2 little cherubic, adorable baby boys. They were small. They were babies. They were small. Apparently, they followed the American dream. They became successful. They could afford to send their boys to the one brother was second-year medical student, from what I understand. That's not cheap. I couldn't afford to send my kids to medical school. Would have loved to. However, it's very expensive. And I would really, really, really like to know. They come over here. We grant them asylum from whatever horrific situation they found themselves in. They find the American dream. Become American citizen. The 19-year-old became an American citizen, ironically, on September 11th. I think 2 years ago. Go figure. Life does has a sense of humor. It's not very funny, but you got to laugh. I tell you. And I want to know what it was that took these young boys, grew up, had it better off than a lot of us, to turn around and do this. And finally, we've got a perpetrator in one of these horrible acts who's actually survived. Now, he is in the hospital. He is under some serious guarding, I'll tell you that. Tight security. Unfortunately, he's sedated because he was wounded, and that's understandable. But the irony of it is apparently he has a throat injury. He may not be ever able to talk to us. He may never be able to tell us what happened. I guarantee he can write. He'll be able to type, whatever. But I want answers. And I don't want our government to stop until they get answers. I'm not saying I want him, strung up or something like that. But by golly, you and I, our children, the people who were wounded, the parents of the people who were killed, have a right to a few damned answers. And I think it's about time we got some. I was watching that when he was pinned down in the boat, and I was just so scared he was either going to kill himself, blow up. They thought at one point that he might have a explosive vest because, well, his brother had one. He might have one too. And I'll tell you something else. It just amazed me. The bombs went off in Boston. And I kid you not, in not 30 minutes on Facebook, there were posts saying, "Thank you, Mr. Obama. You fouled up again." Really? This whole situation, this whole week, whether you're talking about Boston or you're talking about the tragedy in Texas or what's going on in the Midwest, the Mississippi River, apparently when something like this happens, it does bring out some of the worst in people. It really does. And it boggles, as I said, my brain. It really does. I'm old school, okay? I think when something really horrible happens, people should band together, come together, help each other up, and we end up being stronger than we were before. That's what America is all about. You can hurt us. Of course you can. If you prick us, do we not bleed? Thank you. But the bottom line is, we're always stronger than we were before. We will not be defeated. We will never bow down, and we don't give up. I don't care how hard you try. But it's really sad that there is an element that comes out. And I got to tell you, I'm no huge Obama fan. I'm not waving flags for him and all this. I voted for him. Yes, I did. There's things he's done that I'm not happy with. Absolutely. But I'm like, really? They're blaming Obama for this? I've seen them blame Congress for this. About the only person I haven't seen blamed for this is Mickey Mouse. And I'm waiting for that. It's just mind-boggling. But the amazing thing to me, they've got the guy. They've got the guy. And I hope they throw the living book at him. I don't want to see plea deals. You've got to understand, when they corralled these guys the first time, you know, when the 19-year-old drove over his shot brother's body to break out through the police cordon and get away? Yeah. But he's just such a young thing. Right. No. I have no pity. No pity, no sympathy. No. He had none. I have none. But I got to tell you, apparently they found enough ordnance, enough undetonated explosives, enough gun armament. We had an absolute armory in there. They're pretty sure Boston wasn't the only target. It wasn't. I'm so glad they stopped these guys. I really am. Because I think it would have been really, really awful had they got away. Either one of them. I really do. They had some evil plans. And you can come out and say, well, this is still the United States of America. You're still innocent until proven guilty. And I argue that myself on a lot of cases. I don't like to see people tried in the media. That irritates me beyond belief. This is still the United States of America. You are still, and he is an American citizen. Doesn't act like one, but yeah. He still gets his day in court. Then we can fry his ass, okay? Oh, come on. Seriously. But legal systems aside, legal rights aside, whatnot, they have video. Actual video you can watch of the suspects walking up with these backpacks with the pressure cooker bombs in them, putting them down and walking away. Not reacting to the first explosion because, well, they were expecting it. Everyone else is losing their minds. They're very calm. I don't know how more damning you can get. I don't know. I'd hate to be their defense attorney, I'll tell you, because I don't know what defense you could use. They're not crazy. Don't give me that. They're going to say that the 19-year-old was brainwashed by his older brother. That's already come up. No. We all, well, I can't say we all, but a lot of us have older siblings. And we look up to them, and we do emulate them, and we do want approval from them. But that doesn't mean I don't know the difference between right and wrong. It doesn't mean you don't know the difference between right and wrong. And we're not just talking about, ooh, I dare you to go, steal that pack of gum over there, right and wrong. We're talking about, I dare you to go drop off a bomb that could kill God knows how many people hideously, women, children, men, you name it. There's a slight difference here, you see, of degree. Yeah. So I don't buy it, and I cut him no slack for it. Their own uncle kicked the older brother out. I guess he was staying with him at one point because he was so extremist. Good word for it. The uncle didn't think he was very stable. He called them losers. He really did. The uncle. Can't imagine in family where your own family talks about you like this. I want to know what y'all think about this. I really do. I want to know what your opinions are, what you think we ought to do, where you think we've gone with this already. You can call me at 253-617-1440, and we'll talk. Or you can IM me, instant message me here. Go to edgemediasource.com, log in, type me a message. Most of the time they actually come up. But I got to tell you, I'm just beyond boggled. A lot of people have come out and said, well, fry them. As in lynch mob, as in don't need courts, don't need, yeah. And boy, do I understand that sentiment. I really understand that sentiment. I am personally, professionally, as a mother, as a human being, morally offended and mortally offended by people who pull stuff like this anymore. And it seems to be getting more and more common. Have you noticed? I doubt if it slipped your sphere of paying attention to things. I doubt it. I don't get it. I really don't. But I'll tell you something. I don't want him to do a damn thing to this boy except give him the absolute best medical care available until we can get some answers. After that, he better give his soul to God, because I don't think anybody can get him off the hook for this one. And I'll tell you something. If this 19-year-old ends up getting a life sentence, sitting his butt in jail on our dime, just like Gary Ridgway is, the Green River Killer, just like Charlie Manson is, just like just about everybody who's ever committed a horrific, horrific crime is doing on our dime, this is a point I'm going to say, that's it. We've turned into a nation of wusses. I have long said I am a firm proponent. I absolutely believe in the death penalty. I think there are people out there who have more than reasonably demonstrated an inability to play well with others. To the point that I'm not talking about any second chances. No, honey, you blew it big time. I don't want to support them. I don't want to educate them in prison. I don't want to house them in prison. I don't want to pay to have their prison duds washed. I don't want to pay to feed them. I don't want to pay for their medical care. No. Now, this is a relatively narrow band of people who have been this outrageous, who have just crossed that line of just no return in my book. A line of no return. Gary Ridgway was one of them. Yes, I understand why they plea bargained with him. I understand why he got life in return for trying to bring closure to the families. I understand the reasoning behind it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. There's a big difference. Just because I understand something doesn't mean I have to like it. I have to pay taxes every year. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I guarantee you, I don't like it. It is necessary evil. But we are, as a people, turning into wusses. I'm sorry, we are. Everybody is so, I don't know, Mr. Rogers or looking for Sesame Street, and we can all get along. And, oh, yeah, I wish. From your lips to God's ear, I pray we can get to a point where we can all get along. I pray we can get to a point where God himself will come down and say, you people need to step it down a notch. You're getting on my nerves. Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, we live in the world today, as it is today. As it is today. And in a lot of ways, it ain't good. It really isn't. We're seeing more and more and more and more of these atrocities committed. My God, we had the mass shooting in the movie theater. We had Sandy Hook. We've got the Boston Marathon. Hello? And this has all been within a few months of each other. Really? At what point does America stand up, take a stand, and say, we're going to send a message that says, don't mess with us? Don't do it. There is no payoff for you. There is no advantage for you. There is no prize at the end of the tunnel for you. There is only despair, blackness, darkness, bad times. Don't do it. We dropped an atomic bomb. We dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and then Nagasaki. And the main reason we dropped those bombs was to prove to the world we had them. We told Japan we had them. We told them we were going to do this. And they're like, no, it can't be done yet. Want to bet? Boom. I'm not saying I applaud blowing up an entire frickin' city. I'm just saying there was a time in America when we would take a stand, when people knew we were a world power for a reason. Think about it. Think about it. Give me a call. We'll be right back right after this. I'm Susan Corcoran. I'll see you in a sec.
Association of Kitsap County is an association of professional builders, subcontractors, service providers, and purveyors representing the home building industry. For more than 50 years, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County has provided information, education, and services that promote the health and welfare of the home building industry. As leaders of the industry, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County fosters safe, affordable housing and addresses issues affecting our industry. To find out more, visit them online at kitsap.hba.com.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
Hello, this is Dr. Swanson, creator of the GateLink chiropractic technique. I believe our feet were designed to adjust to the uneven surfaces we see in nature. However, the surfaces we walk on throughout the day are flat and hard. This surface prevents normal foot motion and shock absorption, causing the force from the gait cycle to travel up the leg into the pelvis and spine. In an attempt to stabilize itself, the spine tightens muscles and compresses joints to adapt to this continuous force. The result is a degenerating spine that lacks function and mobility, creating an environment for injury. The GateLink technique is applied through a specific progression of treatments beginning with the feet, which cause the body to unlock itself naturally. For additional information regarding this innovative technique, visit gatelink.com. That's GAITLINK.com, or call 360-297-4544 for an appointment.
Rachel's on the East Side hosts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. This is The Raw Nerd right here on EdgeMediaSource.com. I'm Susan Corcoran. I'm your host. And I got to tell you, we've been talking about, what else? Boston. And I know it's been talked to death, a lot of it, and I'm not going to rehash a lot of the stuff we've already seen. But there's just a few things that have bubbled up in this whole unending mess that has really caught my attention and made me wonder and got me thinking. And I wanted to find out what y'all thought about these things as well. Is it just me? I don't know. Maybe it is. Now, for one thing that I found was very interesting is that apparently an indication of the complex investigation ahead came Friday night when an Obama administration official told NBC News that the 19-year-old suspect would not be given a Miranda warning when he is physically able to be interrogated after receiving medical treatment. That's big. That's a biggie. Instead, the official said the government will invoke a legal rule known as the public safety exception. I didn't even know it existed. This will enable investigators to question the suspect without first advising him of his right to remain silent and to be afforded legal counsel. I'm thinking he grew up in this country pretty much. He probably knows his Miranda rights, but still, think about it. Apparently, this exception can be invoked when information is needed to protect public safety. In this instance, the government believes it is vital to find out if the suspects planted any other explosives before their capture or whether others might have plotted with him to do so. Like I said, they found a ton, not literally a ton, but a lot of unexploded ordnance, explosives, armaments, guns, you name it. A lot. A lot more than they used at Boston. It's kind of a scary thought. Now, apparently, the rule waiving the Miranda warning does not set a precise limit on how long a suspect can be interrogated, before being advised of his or her rights. But it likely buys authorities no more than 48 hours. Now, you've got to understand, the suspect is currently in the hospital under heavy guard. He is sedated, and he has a throat injury that's preventing him from talking even if he were alert and with us. He couldn't talk right now anyway. So who knows how long it's going to be before they're going to be able to even interrogate him and ask him about this stuff. Now, Richard Engel, an NBC News chief foreign correspondent, talked with Rachel Maddow about the likely interrogation of marathon bombing suspects and how the public celebration of the law enforcement victory in this case undermines what would have been bragging point for recruiters and terrorists worldwide. This is what I kept saying. Take the guy alive for the love of God. If there's one thing we really, really did not need was to make another martyr to Allah. Think about it. You can bet his brother is. Other countries take these guys, they elevate them, they praise them. Look what wonderful things they did. Look at the damage, they struck to our enemy's heart. No, we do not need to provide any more martyrs to their cause. They've had enough of their cause. We're working on our cause now. It's really pretty simple as far as I'm concerned. Now, during the time, the 19-year-old will be questioned by a federal government team called the High Value Detainee Interrogation Group. This consists of officials from the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Defense. Though he will not have a lawyer present, any statements he makes during the questioning will be admissible in court. That's another very, very different from the way it is for, say, you or I get into trouble. Yeah. A lot of the statements you make before you are Mirandized are not admissible in court. Now, among the questions investigators are certain to focus on, of course, is whether the suspect and his brother had any help in plotting or carrying out the terrorist attack, at the finish line of the marathon. Now, the dual blast with the pressure cookers packed with explosives and shrapnel killed 3 people and injured 176 people. 176 people. Oh, my God. The question took on more urgency when police in New Bedford, Massachusetts, south of Boston, announced on Friday evening that 3 people there had been taken into custody as part of the bombing investigation. Have you heard about them? I haven't heard about them. What happened with them? This is one of the things I really, really hate about the news media nowadays. There was a time, granted it was a while back, but there was a time, and I can remember it, when you turned on the news and you got fair, even, unbiased news reporting. That was the standard for news. Period. Now, Lord. Now, what used to would pass or be called yellow journalism passes for normal now. Putting a slant on the news, putting a spin on it to promote a particular point of view or opinion. That's just wrong. We are intelligent human beings. Give us the facts as they stand, period. We are perfectly capable of taking those facts in, assimilating them, discussing it amongst ourselves, and coming up with intelligent, informed opinions. That only works when you're actually getting all the facts. Have you noticed this? Something huge will happen, and you'll hear snippets and tidbits of information of 3 other suspects being questioned. I haven't heard anything about them. Really? Things like that. But you hear these things, and then nothing ever comes out of it. Nothing is ever forthcoming about how it was handled, processed, finished with. Nothing. It really, really boggles my brain, I'm telling you. Now, in addition to the possibility of co-conspirators in the U.S., and the interrogators will also want to know whether the brothers, both ethnic Chechens, received any assistance from overseas. Because, according to travel records obtained by NBC News, New York, the older brother left the country for 6 months in 2012, flying to Moscow on January 12th and returning on the 17th of July. 6 months. Where he went and what he did after his arrival in Russia could expand to what so far has been a domestic manhunt into a global one. There was talk in the same day as the bombings and the day after that. I heard talk on various news outlets about the possibility of there being a terror cell that they were tied into and working with. I haven't heard anything else. If you put that information out, give us a follow-up for the love of Pete. Say it was investigated, it was determined there was no cell, and people can relax. Or even just say, we haven't made a final determination on that, so we know people are at least working on it. I know I ask so much. I am so flipping unreasonable. Wow. Wait till you see how unreasonable I am come the voting booth. No kidding. Now, suspicions that the elder brother could have received terrorist training or support while he was abroad was heightened on Friday when an official familiar with the matter told NBC News that a foreign government had expressed concern in 2011 that the older brother could have ties to terrorism. The official said the FBI investigated but found no such links and reported the findings back to the foreign government. They stopped investigating him. People are up in arms. Oh, my gosh. Even another country said this guy was dangerous, and we didn't do what? Snatch him up? Put him in a cell? For what? You can make fun of the various lettered agencies that run around in our country doing God knows what. FBI, CIA, you name it. They really do know what they're doing. They do a lot of things that I'm not real happy that they're doing. They do a lot of things in ways that I'm not real happy the way they do it. But they really do know what they're doing. And I am confident that if the FBI says they investigated this guy and nothing came of after the investigation, that tells me there wasn't much to find, I'll tell you. They're not slap happy. They're not slipshod. They're not, oh, well, we'll do a half-ass job and call it good. No. No. They really do take our domestic security seriously. They really do. I got to wonder. I've got to wonder. It amazes me the people that jump out there with opinions that are absolutely not based on fact. They're absolutely, as far as I can tell, made up out of whole cloth. Just, this sounds good, let's say this. No, I want facts. I want you to back it up. I want you to show me a progression. Show me, okay, he went to Russia on January, and he went here, and he did this, da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm not saying I don't think he did this. He did this. He did this. They both did. I have no question in my mind whatsoever. But I got to tell you, I want to know where the investigation is going. I know they can't release everything to the public. Excuse me. It's an ongoing investigation. Still very high impact. No kidding. But I think there's a lot more information they could release to the public to let people know that the people who need to be on top of things really are on top of things. And we can kind of sit back and relax it. It's not going to happen again. And I'll tell you, if you think we're the only ones affected by this, or even better, back that up. If you think you're not affected by this, and I've heard people say this, well, boy, I'm glad I'm not a Bostonian. I'm glad I wasn't there. I'm glad I didn't have to, see it. No. If you think you weren't affected by this, you're living a dream. We were all affected by this. Even if we didn't know anybody there, even if we weren't there, even if we didn't even see it on TV. Knowing that something like this happens in our country affects all of us. It chips away at your sense of security. It chips away at your sense of normalcy. You're still not quite the same person you were before it happened. I don't think there's any way to really get around that. I really don't. Personally, I think we come back stronger every time. I really do. I think we come back stronger. It's one of the things that makes America a great country. Is us. The people. You, me, all of us. It's not our government. God, look at them. It's really not. It's not the amount of our national debt. It's not the firepower we have at our command, our arsenal. It's not how strong our military is. No, the thing that makes America the incredible country it is today is us. And it bugs the living crud out of me that our own government seems to forget that so often. To the politicians in Washington, we seem to be the little people. We have to go see them once in a while. We have to go do a, breakfast and opinions and forums and, debates. We have to go talk to them, press flush. Yeah. But the bottom line of it is, no, they've got it backwards. We are America's strength. We are what keeps America going. We're what pulls America up by its boots. Those bombs went off. The first bomb went off. People ran towards the explosion, not away. Think about that. Your first gut reaction, you're in a public venue, you're doing something fun, your mind isn't anywhere near this sort of thing, there's a bomb goes off. Self-preservation says run. Look at all the people whose self-preservation said run to it. See who I can help. There might be hurt people. This is what makes America. It is us. It always has been. And it always will be. I'm really proud of us. I really am. I think we do pretty good stuff. And all this going on in Boston as horrific as it is, and people, like I said, people were just hanging on any shred of news they could get from it. Totally almost overshadowed the fertilizer plant explosion in Texas. Killed 14 people and something like 230 people injured. Excuse me. It's amazing. It's amazing. And what I want to know, I wondered when this first happened, I really did wonder. I used to be in the fire department. I was a firefighter EMT. We have a lot of training to be a firefighter. A lot of training. I want to know who thought it was a good idea to either A, build a fertilizer plant in the town, or B, build a town right up around a fertilizer plant. Neither one of those choices is very good. Generally speaking, most places, they build these plants, they're out away from residential areas and housing areas and industrial areas. They're out simply by nature of the fact that they are so dangerous. This is a fertilizer plant. Fertilizer is what Timothy McVeigh used to blow up the federal building in Oklahoma City. It was a fertilizer bomb. Do you remember that? Good heavens. I just can't imagine building up a town around it with the potential for something like this to happen. And if you've got the plant like this, there's your potential right there, period. There's the potential. But I think it's really, really sad that 10 firefighters, volunteer firefighters, and the residents who perished alongside them in a devastating fertilizer plant explosion will be memorialized in a joint service at Baylor University on Thursday, this coming Thursday. I think it's awesome. 10 volunteer firefighters. They're West Texas. That's the name of the town, West. But West Texas, volunteer fire department had 33 members before Wednesday's explosion, and it killed 14 of them and injured more than 200 others. Go figure. I'm telling you, it's terrible. Excuse me. Trying to catch a frog or something. But you almost didn't hear anything about it. I mean, I was on the news because it was very dramatic. Somebody actually videotaped the explosion, which usually doesn't happen. But, that kind of got me thinking, too, about Boston. Somebody, granted, I think the guy was a total idiot, the one that was sitting there videotaping this with his daughter in the car, and she starts screaming she can't hear, and just, please, let's go, let's get away. Yeah. She had all the adult brains in that car. But we live in a society nowadays, we live in a time that it's hard to not be surveilled. From the time you leave your house to the time you come back to your house, you are intermittently, very, very often, being surveilled. There are surveillance cameras everywhere. Now look at the Boston Marathon. It is one of the most covered by news media agencies. The number of people that were there with cell phones and camcorders. Are you kidding me? Why would somebody be... I understand they want something big to make a big statement. But seriously? And think you're not going to be videotaped by somebody? No. These guys might have been pretty basically intelligent, but that move right there just proved they're stupid. You can't go out and not be under a camera somewhere. But in Boston, during the Boston Marathon, is beyond belief. Just beyond belief. Guy's an idiot. One of the really heartwarming stories, I think, came out of Boston. It's sad, but it's heartwarming. Is that a dancer from the Puget Sound region was one of the badly injured people in the Boston Marathon explosions. She and her husband were standing just a few feet away when the second bomb went off. Now, according to Como, Issaquah native Adrienne Haslett talked about the horrific experience of having her foot blown off in the blast, and her legs embedded with shrapnel. Now remember, she's a dancer, a professional dancer. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks to the actions of her quick-thinking husband, Good Samaritans and first responders, she survived despite massive blood loss and is just grateful to tell the story of her survival. She says she and her husband, Adam Davis, saw the first bomb go off from the sidelines. She said, we heard the first bomb go off and we saw the smoke, she said, from her hospital bed. Moments later, they felt the second blast. It was like 11 seconds later, I think it was time for. She said, I remember the impact of the air and the bomb hitting my chest and pulling me back. Adrienne, a 1998 graduate of Issaquah High School and a professional dancer from the Seattle area, had moved to Boston to be near her husband, Adam, who is a U.S. airman based in New England, who was on leave from Afghanistan. Golly, he was on leave from a war-torn area. Just going to the marathon. Go figure. They were at the marathon together that day, and both were blown off their feet by the sheer force of the blast. Now, remember, they got hit by the second bomb. She said, I didn't feel the heat from it, just felt air. And then I fell to the ground, and we fell on top of each other like pretzels. At first, they thought they were okay. We sat up, and I said, wait, my foot hurts. And then he held up my foot, and we just both screamed bloody murder, she remembers. She had lost her left foot. The right side of her body was covered with shrapnel, and she also lost hearing in her right ear. I didn't think we'd make it, she said. Adam suffered broken bones in his left foot, and his legs were lacerated by shrapnel. I just thought, wow, I can't believe this. Now, she crawled across the sidewalk. Adam made a tourniquet with his belt, tying it around her leg and trying to stop the massive bleeding, as you can well imagine. There was so much chaos around them, Adrienne was convinced she wasn't going to make it. She thought, my gosh, with the first blast and the second blast and the streets being closed, there's no way they're going to get to me. She thought it was very, very sad because she absolutely wants to dance again. Well, they got to her. You bet they did. And she said, I just want people to know that you can come out of a situation that might seem like the end of the world and come out stronger. After she receives her prosthetic foot and completes her physical therapy, Adrienne plans to not only return to the dance floor, she's also determined to run in next year's Boston Marathon. Now, as I said, it's the people of America who make America what it is. It's not the politicians. We have people like that. Can you imagine next year what the Boston Marathon is going to look like? It's going to be phenomenally enormous. I hope Boston is braced for it. They have had outpourings of sympathy from all around the world. There was even, I thought it was really touching. There was a man, a photograph of a man in Kabul, standing in front of his like little market stall where he had chickens hanging. He was selling chickens, and he had a little sign he was holding up, and it said, "Sympathy to Boston from Kabul." And I'm like, that's really sweet. People from all around the world have sent sympathy about this, and they mean it. They're not giving lip service. They're not just, well, that's what you do in a situation like this. No, it's not. That's what governments do. It's a government that the government's going to give you lip service. Oh, we're so sorry, and we're going to send aid, and we're going to, send people over here to help you. No. You want to know how a country really feels about something that happens in your country? Look at what the people do. Because when you boil it down, it all boils down to the people. All of us. All of us. For heaven's sakes. It boggles my brain. I thought it was absolutely interesting to me that apparently the parents of the boys who did this are convinced that they were set up and framed. And I'm really torn. Whether or not this is the attitude of a parent, a loving parent who's always loved your kid, unconditionally. Oh, you've always been there for them. You cannot believe your child would do a thing like this. Or just completely clueless as to what their children were truly like. I haven't been able to decide this yet. A complicated portrait of the two brothers is coming into view. Again and again, people who knew them use words like normal and even outgoing. Friendly. I heard friendly. They say they never hinted at extremism. I've got to wonder about that because the uncle said he kicked them out. At least the older brother, for being extremist. Now, the parents of the two brothers, police say planted... The parents of the two brothers that police say planted bomb-filled backpacks in crowds watching the Boston Marathon and later engaged in a stunning firefight with police, say their sons are being framed for the deadly blasts. I'm reading this because I want to be fair to the parents who get exactly what they said correct. Now, the older son, 26, died in the shootout with police Thursday. His younger brother, 19, was captured by police on Friday night after an intense manhunt that locked down Boston for nearly a day. Now, the father said, "You could kill me, but I would never believe they had anything to do with this." That's what he said in a telephone interview with NBC from Dagestan's provincial capital. "This is nonsense. It doesn't add up." Law enforcement sources told NBC News that the suspects have family roots in Chechnya, a predominantly Muslim Russian republic that has fought a war for independence and is tied to vicious terrorist attacks. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? I'm just saying. We're going to take a break now at the top of the hour. We'll be back right after the news. You hang in there. I'm Susan Corcoran. This is The Raw Nerve. I'll see you in a few. Bye-bye.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. The surviving suspect in the Boston Marathon bombings is still hospitalized under heavy guard. Jahar Tsarnaev remains in serious condition. Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis said today authorities found an arsenal of explosives at the site of the gun battle that killed the older brother, Tamerlan. Meanwhile, NPR's David Shaper reports Bostonians are remembering the bombing victims in church services and memorials.
Cardinal Sean O'Malley said a special mass at Boston's Cathedral of the Holy Cross to remember those killed and injured in Monday's bomb blasts and in the subsequent manhunt for the suspects. The mass also honored the first responders, medical personnel, and regular citizens who rushed into action to save lives. There's a similar interfaith service near the finish line of Monday's marathon.
Program, step right up. Program,
and thousands of Bostonians are visiting another cathedral of sorts, iconic Fenway Park, to heal and bond over baseball. Program vendor Greg Flanders.
I think the love of Boston has just grown greater. I think everyone respects the city even more. It's just making everyone grow closer. Today's program, $1. Thank you.
The Red Sox are making up the game postponed Friday while the city was on lockdown as part of a day-night doubleheader. David Shaper, NPR News, Boston.
On the first Sunday since the explosion at a fertilizer plant in the town of West Texas, families gathered there for church services. Lauren Silverman of member station KERA reports hundreds showed up even if they couldn't return home after church.
Most of the area affected by the blast is still blocked off, including the building where the town of West's Baptist Church usually has services. So instead, hundreds of people gathered in a large hayfield, sitting in white folding chairs next to boxes of donated Kleenex.
I believe more than enough for me.
Linda Franke returned home Saturday and found the windows shattered.
We've all lost friends. It's going to be lots of funerals to go to. And today is just a day of being able to touch and know you're okay.
This Thursday, there will be a memorial at Baylor University in Waco for the 14 who died in the explosion, 10 of which were first responders. For NPR News, I'm Lauren Silverman in West Texas.
Days of heavy rain are swelling the Mississippi River. It's at or near crest level in several areas from the Quad Cities along the Iowa-Illinois border south to near St. Louis. The surging waters broke 114 moored barges loose last night. Several hit a bridge. Coast Guard spokesman Colin Fogarty says most of the barges are now secured, but some are still adrift.
There are still 9 unaccounted for barges. We're in the process of tracking those down, as well as conducting a survey of the river to ensure that it is safe to navigate.
Mississippi River traffic has been halted. This is NPR. In Afghanistan, the Taliban is claiming responsibility for 2 separate deadly attacks today. One targeted a police checkpoint, killing 6 officers, and a suicide bomber detonated explosives at a shopping bazaar in eastern Afghanistan, reportedly targeting a former district governor who was killed along with 2 other civilians. Egypt's justice minister is stepping down. He submitted a letter of resignation as Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi announced plans to reshuffle the cabinet, according to Egypt's state news agency. And the resignation comes 2 days after Muslim Brotherhood supporters called for the purification of the judiciary. NPR's Leila Fadel reports.
Egypt's Ahram newspaper published what it said was a copy of the letter of resignation by Ahmed Makki. In it, he wrote, "The time has come to fulfill my wish, to lift this burden off my chest." In an interview on Al Jazeera over the weekend, President Mohamed Morsi said that changes were coming to the embattled Egyptian government. He said good ministers would stay and bad ministers would go. Egypt's opposition has been calling on the president to change members of the government, including the Minister of Interior, Education, Finance, and others. When Ahmed Makki was appointed, he was heralded as a pillar of judicial independence, but later opponents of the Islamist leadership accused him of failing to protect the independence of the judicial system. Leila Fadel, NPR News, Cairo.
Gas prices continue to slip. The Lundberg survey says the price of a gallon of regular dropped 11 cents over the last 2 weeks to an average of $3.54, 37 cents lower than a year ago. Diesel is down 7 cents at an average $3.98 a gallon. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News in Washington.
The Home Buyers Association of Kitsap County is an association of professional builders, subcontractors, service providers, and purveyors representing the home building industry. For more than 50 years, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County has provided information, education, and services that promote the health and welfare of the home building industry. As leaders of the industry, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County fosters safe, affordable housing and addresses issues affecting our industry. To find out more, visit them online at kitsap.hba.com.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
Hello, this is Dr. Swanson, creator of the GateLink chiropractic technique. I believe our feet were designed to adjust to the uneven surfaces we see in nature. However, the surfaces we walk on throughout the day are flat and hard. This surface prevents normal foot motion and shock absorption, causing the force from the gait cycle to travel up the leg into the pelvis and spine. In an attempt to stabilize itself, the spine tightens muscles and compresses joints to adapt to this continuous force. The result is a degenerating spine that lacks function and mobility, creating an environment for injury. The GateLink technique is applied through a specific progression of treatments beginning with the feet, which cause the body to unlock itself naturally. For additional information regarding this innovative technique, visit gatelink.com, that's GAITLINK.com, or call 360-297-4544 for an appointment.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
And welcome back, everybody. I love that song. I really do. Welcome back. This is the second hour of The Raw Nerve right here on EdgeMediaSource.com. I'm Susan Corcoran. I'm your host. How y'all doing? It's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? It's been a bumpy ride. We're going to switch gears here a little bit now because we've talked it to death. Everybody has. Stay tuned for more, though. I'll tell you, there's got to be some interesting stuff coming out. There better be. Now, I ask you something. If somebody asked you, in the U.S., what is the most paranoia-producing, Big Brother-ish type agency do you think is out there? Most people aren't going to say the FBI or the CIA or anything like that. They're all going to say the IRS. Let's face it, the most people out there, you and me, the average person, doesn't do anything that would raise the interest of the CIA or the FBI. We're pretty normal people. But the IRS, they've always got their eye on you. Now, I kind of absolutely blew a gasket when I heard this. But apparently, the IRS continued to insist on warrantless email access, internal documents obtained by the ACLU show, even after a federal appeals court said the Fourth Amendment applies. That's your protection against unreasonable searches. Okay? Yeah. The Internal Revenue doesn't believe it needs a search warrant to read your email. Think about this for a minute. They don't need a warrant to read your email. Newly disclosed documents prepared by IRS lawyers say that Americans enjoy generally, quote, no privacy, unquote, in their email, Facebook chats, Twitter, direct messages, and similar online communications. Direct messages meaning when you IM someone. Yeah. Meaning that they can be perused without obtaining a search warrant signed by a judge. Really? You don't say. Now, that places the IRS at odds with a growing sentiment among many judges and legislators who believe that Americans' email messages should be protected from warrantless search and seizure. They say email should be protected by the same Fourth Amendment privacy standards that require search warrants for hard drives in someone's home or physical letter in a filing cabinet. It makes no difference. We don't have letters in filing cabinets so much anymore. We have emails. It's the same thing, just different storage. An IRS 2009 search warrant handbook obtained by the American Civil Liberties Union argues that, quote, emails and other transmissions generally lose their reasonable expectation of privacy and thus their Fourth Amendment protection once they have been sent from an individual's computer, unquote. Really? Most large banking and financial institutions in the world don't use paper anymore. They do their transfers and their business electronically. Does that mean they have no expectation of privacy? Because it's out there? Nobody ever answers things like that. It just really bugs me too. Now, this handbook that I'm talking about here was prepared by the Office of Chief Counsel for the Criminal Tax Division and obtained through the Freedom of Information Act. Somebody had to ask for it to get it. Nathan Wessler, a staff attorney for the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project, said that in a blog post that the IRS's view of privacy rights violates the Fourth Amendment. Let's hope you never end up on the wrong end of IRS criminal tax investigation. But if you do, you should be able to trust that the IRS will obey the Fourth Amendment when it seeks the contents of your private emails. Until now, that has not been the case. The IRS should let the American public know whether it obtains warrants across the board when accessing people's email. And even more importantly, the IRS should formally amend its policies to require its agents to obtain warrants when seeking the contents of email without regard to their age. Period. I don't care how old the email is, you still have to have a warrant. Now, the IRS continued to take the same position, the documents indicate, even after a federal appeals court ruled in the 2010 case U.S. versus Warshak that Americans have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their email. A few email providers, including Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and Facebook, but not all, have taken the position that Warshak mandates warrants for emails. That law case says you have to have a warrant. The IRS did not immediately respond to a request from CNET asking whether or not it's the agency's position that a search warrant is required for email and similar communications. What a shock. I'm stunned. Before the Warshak decision, the general rule since 1986 had been that police could obtain Americans' email messages that were more than 180 days old with an administrative subpoena, or what's known as a 2703D order, both of which lack a warrant's probable cause requirement. Did not require a judge to sign them either. Now, the rule was adopted in the era of telephone modems, BBSs, and UUCP links, long before gigabytes of email stored in the cloud were ever envisioned. Since then, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in Warshak, technology had changed dramatically. Since the advent of email, the telephone call and the letter have waned in importance, and an explosion of internet-based communication has taken place. People are now able to send sensitive and intimate information instantaneously to friends, family, and colleagues half a world away. By obtaining access to someone's email, government agents gain the ability to peer deeper into his activities. A March 2011 update to the IRS manual, published 4 months after the Warshak decision, said that nothing has changed and that investigators can obtain everything in an account except for unopened email or voicemail stored with the provider for 180 days or less without a warrant. An October 2011 memorandum, PDF, from IRS Senior Counsel William Spatz took a similar position. A phalanx of companies, including Amazon, Apple, AT&T, eBay, Google, Intel, Microsoft, and Twitter, as well as liberal, conservative, and libertarian advocacy groups, have asked Congress to update the 1986 Electronic Communications Privacy Act to make it clear that law enforcement needs warrants to access private communications and the locations of mobile devices. In November, a Senate panel approved the email warrant requirement, and last month, the Republican Zoe Lofgren, a Democrat whose district includes the heart of Silicon Valley, introduced similar legislation in the House of Representatives. The Justice Department indicated last month it will drop its opposition to an email warrant requirement. Really? That's really big of them. Now, let's think about this for a second. The IRS has been able to look at anything you've ever done on your computer. Think about that for a second. Wow. The Fourth Amendment to the Constitution of the United States does say that a person is protected from unreasonable search and seizure without due process of law. Law generally in this case means a judge signing a warrant. When this all happened, when this all first came about, like they said, there was no cloud. There was no such thing as gigabytes of information sitting on a person's computer. Seriously. Times, they have changed. I'm not a big fan of the cloud. I'll be honest with you. And I know my kids say I'm a dinosaur and I'm just, not, not keeping up with modern technology. Yes, I am. I do know what it is. I know why it is. I just don't like it. I like to be able to back up my own information and not rely on a third party to do it. Why should I? We have the capability. You buy a computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop or whatever, you buy something that's able to back up your own files. It might be a little different if you're using the internet, say, on a smartphone. I don't know if you can back those up. Something like the cloud might be necessary. Anyhow, no matter how it's done, I don't like the idea of any government agency, I don't care who they are, being able to get their hands on my personal information, something that I have personally done without having a warrant. A warrant requires reasonable cause. Look, if you don't understand how it works, excuse me, a cop cannot live next door to you and get irritated with you because you don't turn your music down on Saturday nights. So figure he's going to come in and look around your house and take anything that might be able to use against you, get you arrested, and shut you up on Saturday nights. That can't happen. No. In order for a government agency, official, or police officer to come into your home, they have to have a search warrant. They have to have probable cause. They have to be able to go to a judge and say, because of this, this, and this, I have a reasonable expectation that I'm going to find this when I look in the home. This is how, when somebody is found with, say, inappropriate material on their computer, this is how they found it. They had to get a warrant to go into somebody's computer at work to find it, or somebody's computer at home to find it. Why not the IRS? I understand the government's really worried about we're not paying our fair share or we're hiding money. I understand that. But seriously? And yes, I understand that this is only, generally something that would be used in a criminal investigation with the IRS. You owing the IRS money is not necessary. That does not constitute a criminal investigation unless it's big or you're going to really long lengths to cheat. And I understand that. I don't think it's right at all, though. I don't think it's right that the IRS or anyone else should be able to find out what I like on Facebook. If I click on a cute little kitty picture and click like, oh, that's so sweet. I don't think that's anybody's business but me, the person who posted it, and the people that I have allowed to be on my wall. There's a reason Facebook requires you to friend somebody. There's a reason for that. That means that everything they post, you can see. Everything you post, they can see. But everybody else can't. If you're not somebody's friend, you can't see what they post on their Facebook. Why should the IRS or any other government agency be exempt from that restriction? I can't think of a single good reason. It really, really bugs me, too, that it's already gone to court on the issue. Granted, not the Supreme Court yet, but it has gone before a court, and they lost. And the judge even said, no, you need to have a warrant. And they still chose to ignore it. They even put it in the handbook that nothing had changed in their policies and the way they would conduct business. Yeah. What do you think? Give me a call. 253-617-1440. I really want to know what you think about this stuff. I really do. If you want to IM me, log on at edgemediasource.com. You can IM me and come up right on the little board up here. But I got to tell you, I really, really worry about our freedoms, our rights. They're being eroded right and left. And it seems to me, I could be wrong, but unless somebody puts the word gun in there, nobody seems to much care. And I don't really understand that. The fact that the IRS can look at your Facebook account without your permission and without a warrant, that's your Fourth Amendment. And the Fourth Amendment is just as important as the Second Amendment. which is really, really important too. I tend to think of the amendments as being pretty much equally important. We wouldn't be the country we are today if we didn't have each and every one of those amendments. Think about it. I and people like me who do things like what I'm doing right now rely on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. I love the fact that in this country I can sit here and I can say something like, Obama is a poo-poo head. And guess what? Nobody breaks down the door of my house. I don't get disappeared in the middle of the night and wake up in a gulag somewhere or face down in a ditch. I'm telling you. These things are important. They're all important. And while you're distracted looking at one right that everyone's jumping up and down screaming about, don't forget to watch out for the other ones. Because they're everyone equally as important to maintain the quality of life we have in this country today as any other right. Think about it. Something else I was thinking about. I have eclectic taste. I think my brain hops everywhere. There's not much I don't notice. I may not care much about it, but I'll notice it. But something really popped up that kind of got me thinking. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's been announced that under pressure over its long-standing ban on gays, the Boy Scouts of America is proposing to lift the ban for youth members, but continue to exclude gays as adult leaders. Really? Think about this for a minute. They're going to let little boys who think they're gay or have come out to be gay or whatever, you can be a Boy Scout now. Oh, that's so sweet. But not an adult. I've got to tell you, when I read this, the first thing that popped in my head was, well, they're going to let the boys in because somewhere someone thinks they can fix them. That's why they don't allow the adults to be leaders. Oh, you can say, oh, they're afraid the adults will be inappropriate with the boys because, well, they're gay. And they please. There have been thousands and thousands and thousands of heterosexual school teachers who have taught children of the opposite sex and have not been in the least tempted to do anything they shouldn't do. I don't think anybody's really worried that some openly homosexual troop leader is going to be inappropriate. I really, seriously don't think that's what the main issue is. I think they're thinking that they get the boys in, they can fix them. I'm here to tell you, it's not something you fix. You don't fix it because it's not broken. I will admit, I'm in my mid-50s. It took a while. It took a while of introspection and thought and study and just getting my head around it. But I have absolutely come to the conclusion that a person is born one way or the other, or both. I really, truly do believe it's biological. So if I'm born female, and I think I'm female, and I'm happy being female, does that mean that if I go to, say, a camp that's run by, say, a gay group, they're going to think I'm broken? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm telling you, this country has come a long way. We really have. A lot of times we don't get much credit for it, which I think is kind of sad. But we have come a long way. We've come from 200 years ago, it was okay to own people. That was fine. I was cool with the government, too. They owned them, too. To today, that is one of the most horrendously offensive concepts to the average American out there. We've come a long way. We've come from a time when if you were gay, That meant, well, you got beat up after school every day. You got called terrible names. You got excluded from everything under the face of the planet if anyone suspected. And if you wanted to get somebody really good, all you had to do was start the rumor. It's the way it used to be. It wasn't good. It was common. It was widespread. But it wasn't good. We've learned and grown as a country. We've grown as a people. Remember when I said in the last hour that what makes us American, what makes this country so strong and so resilient, it isn't the politicians, it isn't any agencies out there, it's us. You and me, the little people out here, jumping up and down saying, I don't like that. Or, wait a minute, maybe we were wrong. We grow as a people. Our consciences grow. That's why 200 years ago, you could own a person. Today, you can't. And they really frown on people in other countries who think you can. Yeah. But that's also why, if you are a gay person, if you're a lesbian, whatever, you can't be discriminated against. You cannot be treated as a lesser person because we as a people have grown. I think we should get credit for that. I think we should all feel pretty proud of ourselves. I really do. I really do. But I'll tell you, when you've got an agency like the Boy Scouts of America, who has for how many years? Decades. Absolutely banned any remote thought of gay in their organization. Now, because everyone was upset with them, and only because everyone was upset with them, is now saying that, well, we'll let little gay boys join the Scouts, but not their dads. I'm telling you, I really have to think. They're thinking if they get the little boys in, they can fix them. I wonder if there'd be a merit badge for that. Think about it. It's frightening, isn't it? I'll design it. It'll be cool. We'll be back right after this. Hang in there. This is The Raw Nerve on EdgeMediaSource.com. I'm Sue Corcoran. I'll see you in a minute.
Association of Kitsap County is an association of professional builders, subcontractors, service providers, and purveyors representing the home building industry. For more than 50 years, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County has provided information, education, and services that promote the health and welfare of the home building industry. As leaders of the industry, the Home Builders Association of Kitsap County fosters safe, affordable housing and addresses issues affecting our industry. To find out more, visit them online at kitsap.hba.com.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
Hello, this is Dr. Swanson, creator of the GateLink chiropractic technique. I believe our feet were designed to adjust to the uneven surfaces we see in nature. However, the surfaces we walk on throughout the day are flat and hard. This surface prevents normal foot motion and shock absorption, causing the force from the gait cycle to travel up the leg into the pelvis and spine. In an attempt to stabilize itself, the spine tightens muscles and compresses joints to adapt to this continuous force. The result is a degenerating spine that lacks function and mobility, creating an environment for injury. The gait link technique is applied through a specific progression of treatments beginning with the feet, which cause the body to unlock itself naturally. For additional information regarding this innovative technique, visit gaitlink.com. That's GAITLINK.com, or call 360-297-4544 for an appointment.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Located 3520 Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Arnold's Home Furnishing has been serving the Kitsap County community since 1951. For nearly 60 years, Arnold's has been here taking care of its customers with excellent customer service and quality merchandise you'll find nowhere else. And visit arnoldshomefurnishing.com to view all the merchandise available and see their current promotions. Arnold's Home Furnishing, to fit every lifestyle and budget.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're having a great Sunday. I hope you are. It's been one hell of a week, I'll tell you that. It really has. One thing I want to make sure you didn't miss out on. I'm an astronomy nut. I love things going on out in space. I really do. I think it's fascinating. Don't forget tonight, with clearing conditions in Western Washington, which is what they're expecting tonight, all this cloud and rain and wetness we've had is all supposed to blow out. And we may have a chance to see the annual Lyrid meteor shower, and that's tonight. It's tonight. Astronomers predict peak viewing April 21st, tonight, and 22nd. At its peak, the Lyrid's meteor shower will bring bright streaks trailing across the sky, around 10 to 20 meteors a minute. Now, that's according to EarthSky. They have a great website. You should check it out. The Lyrids are one of the oldest known meteor showers known and are known for rare outbursts. That means that, amazingly, and this almost never happens, it's very rare, they have surges that can sometimes bring the rate up to 100 an hour. It's amazing. NASA says the best time to watch, no matter where you live, will be during the hours before dawn on Sunday, tonight. Dawn would be tomorrow morning, actually. Between dawn tonight, between about 2 and 5 a.m. Simply go outside and look up, generally towards the north. Sky watchers in rural areas should spot a shooting star every few minutes. I love meteor storms, meteor showers. I remember probably about 7 or 8 years ago, went to a drive-in. I'll show you. We went to a drive-in. There are some still around. And it just so happened that the Pleiades meteor shower was going on that night. And I'm telling you, everyone was out of their car, laying on the hood of their car, looking up, watching the sky instead of the movie we all paid to get into to see. It was amazing. I love this stuff. I thought it was really cute. A small child, probably about 7 or 8, the other day was asking a weatherman, why don't these meteor showers run out of meteors? Which, if you think about it, that's a good question for a 7 or 8-year-old child. Because the reason we see them is because they burn up in the atmosphere. They're gone, right? Apparently, the reason they don't all just go away is the fact that they go through cycles during the orbit of the mass of them. We don't get all of the asteroids and meteors and whatnot. Not asteroids, but the meteors. We don't get them all in the showers. They don't all fall into the atmosphere. And the majority of them just are orbiting out there, and they go in orbit, and they go through the asteroid belt, and they pick up dust and debris and rocks and all sorts of stuff as they go along and replenishes their supply. And that's why we've had meteor showers that are as faithful as Old Faithful out there. You can set your clocks by them for hundreds of years. which, if you think about it, is really mind-boggling. I love that stuff. It's amazing to me. So get out there tonight, sometime between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning. I know it's the middle of the night, but it'll be worth it. Go outside, look up, watch. It's awesome. And I'll tell you something. If you ever find a piece of a meteor that's actually hit the Earth, they're worth bucks. Big bucks. It's amazing. Now, I got to tell you, one of the things that has always bugged me, and it seems like a little thing on the surface, but I think it's an erosion. It seems small, but it's like a death by 1,000 cuts. It adds up. And that is how marketers and packagers are cheating us without coming out and saying so. Companies will come out and say, we haven't raised our prices since 1912, whatever. Well, yeah. But I'll tell you, the 3-pound can of coffee I used to get is now only 2 pound. And nobody ever said anything about that. But it's the same price. Budweiser, they're doing it. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the new design for Budweiser can that they're going to come out with. Now, it's not going to replace the regular can, but I can see collectors wanting it. But I'll tell you, besides that, no. They've been working on this can since 2010. 3 years to develop a can. Apparently, it's a 16-step process to make it. Go figure. But it's in a bow tie shape. And it matches the logo of Budweiser. Due to the new design, there we go, I can talk. It holds 11.3 ounces of beer compared to the traditional 12-ounce can. It'll sell for exactly the same price. And, I know this sounds like a petty thing. It sounds really small. But you have no idea where all this is. Company after company after company has taken a product and they take a few ounces out of it. Make it a little bit smaller. Doesn't look much difference. The wrapper's the same. People don't realize they're getting less for their money. But you are. It's like a sneaky price increase. And I don't like sneakiness. I just don't like that. It used to be, now I understand really fine wine has the dent in the bottom of the bottle. And that helps aeration or aroma or some such thing. I don't know. And I understand that in really old or really fine wines. I do. But when the really cheap bottom shelf stuff starts doing it, they're just doing it to make more money. I guarantee you. Look at a roll of toilet paper. Next time you put a roll on the roller, you put it on the rack. There was a time when you put a brand new roll of toilet paper in the rack, you almost had to kind of squeeze it in there. Not anymore, because they have shrunk the size of the roll. Or they put more sheets on it, but they've shrunk the size of the roll. It's all very, very sneaky. It's very, very sneaky, and it drives me crazy. Because I notice it. I've read labels since before it was cool to read labels. And I read things about how much salt is in it. I read things about how much sugar is in something. And I read how much weight is in something. And if I buy a product, and, well, let's see, 2 weeks ago it was 17 3/4 ounces. This week it's 12 ounces, but it's the same price. That tells me I'm paying more. They just upped the price without telling you and without it showing. Stuff like that drives me bugs. I'm telling you, it really does. It's really, really common. A lot more common than you'd think, and it's in more products than you would believe. Believe me, it is. It's something I found just amusing. I got to thinking about my mind just, I'll read something or I'll hear about something, and my mind will just spin off in its own little world. Yeah, sometimes not for the better. But in Manchester, New Hampshire, you think you got a really crappy job. Police say they've got the $3,200 engagement ring a New Hampshire man allegedly swallowed during an attempted robbery in a jewelry store. Authorities charged 52-year-old Ronald Purley with theft and falsifying physical evidence. Falsifying physical evidence. Tampering with evidence, baby. after they say x-rays showed the 14-karat white gold ring with the princess-cut diamonds inside him. Yep. The local news television station reports that Manchester police had recovered the ring as of Saturday. Purley allegedly went into Bellman's Jewelers on Thursday asking about engagement rings. Workers said he grabbed a ring and then swallowed it after being confronted. Police say surveillance footage, I can talk tonight, I swear, shows Purley taking the ring and putting his hand to his mouth. He's being held on $50,000 bail. Now, this is where my brain goes. Who had to get that ring? Somebody had to do something to get that ring. Because you know that they were just counting on nature taking its course. And they have to be pretty sneaky about it, or pretty diligent, I should say, about it. Because I've heard of cases like this, believe it or not, where a suspect has swallowed evidence. The police are waiting to get the evidence back. They're not diligent about it, and on top of it, the suspect gets the evidence and swallows it again. Too horrible to think about, isn't it? And what are they going to do with the ring? I mean, I'm sure they cleaned it. But would you buy it? And if you did buy it, would you expect it to be on sale? I wouldn't want to pay that kind of money for that. Not after the trip it's taken. Just the way my little brain percolates, you know? I just read something and I'm like, I wonder, whose job is it to have to get that back? It makes me wonder. And I'll tell you, you think you have an interesting issues in your life. Excuse me. Be glad you don't live in Iceland. Really. This blew me away. In Reykjavik, Iceland, you meet someone, there's chemistry, then come the introductory questions. What's your name? Do you come here often? Are you my cousin? Yeah. Apparently in Iceland, a country with the entire population is only 320,000 people. In an entire country, that's not a lot. It really isn't. This is a country where most everybody is distantly at some point or another related. Inadvertently, kissing cousins become a real risk. A new smartphone app has been developed to help out. It's on hand to help Icelanders avoid accidental incest. I kid you not. The app lets users bump phones. Okay, you've seen the ads for that. And it emits a warning alarm if they are closely related. Bump the app before you bump in bed. That's what the catchy slogan says. Now, some are hailing it as a welcome solution to a very Icelandic form of social embarrassment. And if you think about 320,000 people in an entire country, everybody would almost by necessity be very closely related to each other. Not very closely, but to some degree or another, some more than others. I think that's amazing. It says everyone has heard the story of going to a family event and running into a girl you hooked up with some time ago. And they introduce you as, oh, have you met your cousin? Oh, really? Yeah. That's not a good feeling, I'm telling you. Apparently in Iceland, they consider this application very, very necessary. I just think it's funny. I think it's sad it's necessary. I really do. And I see why it would be necessary to invent something like this, come up with it. But it's just funny. What can I tell you? It's funny. Now, we live in a weird time. There are addictions to everything under the sun. Everything. There's not a thing you cannot apparently become addicted to. Personally, I'm addicted to air. I can't seem to break it. I'm trying. One of the new problems, social problems out there, is addiction to internet, addiction to your smartphone, addiction to texting, addiction to Facebooking, whatever. And these are actually real addictions. For a long time, I thought maybe they weren't. They were just something that, kind of a catchphrase thing that was being bandied about. But apparently, they've done actual studies, and these are serious, true addictions. What boggles my brain, actually, a judge in an Oregon courtroom noticed an unexpected glow on a juror's chest while the courtroom lights were dimmed during video evidence on an armed robbery trial. The juror, it seemed, was texting. Okay, now you know driving and texting is bad. Sitting on a jury and texting is really bad. It's really, really bad. Marion County Circuit Judge Dennis Graves cleared the courtroom and excused all jurors except 26-year-old Benjamin Kohler. According to a news release from the Marion County Sheriff's Office, Kohler had no explanation for his actions. There wasn't like somebody hanging between life and death and they wanted to stay on top of it or something major happening. No explanation, just doing it. Now, the jurors in Oregon are given explicit instructions at the outset of each trial not to use cell phones in court. We do this too here. All of the courts do anymore. Graves held Kohler in contempt, and Kohler spent most of Tuesday and Wednesday in county jail. He was released Wednesday night. Now, neither the nature of the text message nor its recipient was disclosed. Now, I got to tell you, how sad is it when we can't even get people to sit through a trial, acting as a jury, and the room was darkened so that they could show video evidence of this, and it was an armed robbery. It was a serious crime. And you got Jethro up there. Really? Seriously? I don't know. I think they should have thrown the book at him. Just for, I don't know, wanting stupidity. That'll work. Stupidity. We live in a society now where people will text each other sitting in the same room. Believe it or not, I've seen it in my house. I'm like, seriously? Are you kidding me? I've seen somebody in my house texting somebody sitting out in the car, and they're just sitting in the car texting. They could get out of the car and come in the house and talk to them, but they're too busy sitting in the car texting. So they don't have time to get out of the car and come in the house and talk to them. You see? Really? According to a recent survey, most people nowadays don't think there's anything wrong with texting and whatnot while you're in the bathroom. Really? Why? Is nothing sacred? I mean, seriously. I can see taking your phone in to play a game or something like that to pass the time, as it were. But I don't know, talking on the phone while you're in the bathroom. No, I don't think that's cool. And it's really frightening. It's a scary, scary thing to take a phone nowadays into the bathroom. Because apparently if you take a phone into a bathroom, some sort of a disease process comes over your brain and requires you to stand in that bathroom and take pictures of yourself and then post them on Facebook or YouTube. I swear it must be some sort of a disease process because it's so epidemic. Really? Who thinks this is cute? Who thinks it's cool to be standing in front of the crapper? And there's that picture. No. I really don't get this. It's very, very prevalent. I've seen guys do it. I'm not going to say they do it as much as girls because I think girls do it more often than guys do. But guys do it too. It makes you wonder, what is the appeal? I would really, really like to know this. There's a lot I don't understand. When did it become okay and socially acceptable for people to send pictures of their private parts by cell phone to somebody else that they really don't know that well just because they asked? Well, he asked nicely. Really? No. I'm telling you, I think Emily Post needs to come back. She was the manners guru, told everybody how to live with each other politely, with a minimum of muss and fuss. She needs to come back and teach people how to live in the internet and online age. Because I'm telling you, people don't have a clue. Not a clue. There is nothing, apparently, unusual about a guy taking a picture of his nether regions, as it were, and texting it to a girl. And I don't mean like his wife or something like that. Just a friend. Why would you do that? People don't seem to understand. I just told you a few minutes ago about the IRS can look at anything on your Facebook or in your phone or whatever without a search warrant. Do you really want somebody seeing that someday? And I learned a long time ago, I'm telling you, if it's put out over the internet, you can never, ever control it again. It's gone. It's out of your power. There are people who have posted pictures on the internet, like just, here we are, here's the family, we're at Disneyland, tra-la-la-la-la, having a good time. Just pictures, normal photographs. And those same pictures, cropped, later show up in advertisements because apparently there are companies who, in order to not have to pay a model, apparently, or modeling fees or an agency fee, will troll the internet looking for pictures like that. And they're like, oh, that's a good one. Snag that picture. And somehow, I'm not sure how this works, but it happens, so I know it does. They get that picture, and they put it on their advertisement, and you don't know anything about it. You didn't say it was okay. Nobody asked you. And I'm telling you, I've heard several cases of this sort of incident happening. I really, really, really don't get it. All I can think of is if it's on the internet, we live in a time when you've got to figure that everybody and their brother's looking at it. Your mama's looking at it. Your grandma's looking at it. Your third grade high school teacher's looking at it. Your priest is looking at it, or your pastor, your rabbi, whatever. It's kind of sad, but you have to live your life thinking that these people are looking at what you're putting on the internet. Are you cool with that? Is that okay? No. Not a lot of what's out there, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it just boggles my brain. There was a time when there was something called common decency. Common decency said you wear your britches pulled up because nobody wants to see your underwear. Common decency said if you're a girl and you have cleavage, you cover it up in public. That's for special people. Not anymore. Seriously. Have you gone to, say, a bar to get a drink? Go in with your friends, go stop and have a drink. Look at what people are wearing. Look at how people are acting. Really? Now, I know I sound like my mama. Yeah. And trust me, I really hate when that happens. I'm like everybody else. I hate when I open my mouth and my mama steps out. I hate that. But I think people ought to wear their britches up. I saw a sign on the internet on like a restaurant door, the door to a restaurant, and it said, "Wear your pants pulled up, or no service." If you're over, I think it was 3 years old. I'm like, we need this everywhere. And has the word not gotten out that the whole thing about sagging your britches, these young boys who wear their britches down around their butts, this whole thing got started in prison as a way for one inmate to advertise to other inmates that he was available for their attentions without tipping off the guards. It was like code. Everybody knows this. Why then would you continue to do it? Pull up your pants. Oh, I swear, I see boys sometimes I just want to pull over and buy them a belt or duct tape. Lots and lots of duct tape. I have a just turned 13-year-old grandson. He wants to wear his pants like that. I said, after I die, if I'm dead and gone, you can wear your britches any way you want. I guess I can't say anything about it. But you got to wait till I die, because otherwise you're going to get an earful. That's just the way it's going to be. That's just the way it's going to be. And what amazes me are the parents that say they don't like the way their kids are wearing their clothes. Well, who's buying them? Seriously. I know people whose kids wear outlandish clothes. The parents hate it, but the parents are the ones buying them. Really? Shut the wallet. Shut the wallet. put it back in your purse, and step away. No. I tell you, my parents kept me in line a lot by the purse strings. They got me to do a lot of things I did not want to do by the purse strings. It's not sneaky, underhanded, or bad parenting. It's using the tools that are available for you to use. It's just another tool. And I'll tell you, if I'd wanted to wear something that my parents thought was truly outlandish like that, oh, my mama would have had me in a burlap sack so fast to make your head spin, and I could be happy to have that. Yeah, because that's the way it works. Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to be sure you stay tuned here because we're about to have the next show come on here. After the top of the hour, it's going to be Outlaw Radio Network, and it's got K-Dog, the Loose Cannon, and St. Paul, the voice of reason. These guys crack me up. And I'll tell you what, if you think they're funny, hang on to the last hour. The last show, it's broken off into its own show from 10 to 11, no holds barred, adults only. Yeah, they really mean it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a really rough week. We've all had it rough. It's been hard for everyone. But I'll tell you something, in all absolute seriousness and in all sincerity, when I say I think the reason we get through these things and the reason we come back stronger isn't because of our politicians. We can't trust them anyway. It isn't because of agencies looking out for us, because they really aren't anyway. It's because of you and me and my neighbor and the guy down the street and the teacher. It's the American people. We are what make America resilient. We're what make Americans strong. We're what pulls ourselves up by our own bootstraps. Thank you very much. We don't look for handouts. Occasionally we'll look to our governments for a hand up because we're in a bind. But I'll tell you what, we always come out stronger. And I think the American people should be really proud of that, especially after the kind of week we've had. Especially after. And I'll tell you something. That little boy with the bombing in Boston, he is a naturalized citizen now. And I was thinking about it this morning. And anybody else, wouldn't it be called treason? If you are a citizen of a country and you go out of your way to harm your country or abet others in doing harm to your country, isn't that called treason? What is the, historical punishment for treason? You don't have to be military. It's not like a deserter or something like that. Benedict Arnold, one of the most famous treasonous people out there. Yeah. Turned us over to the Redcoats. Didn't go well for him. I don't think it should him either. Y'all hang in there. I'll be back next week. Be sure and watch. And like I said, stay tuned for St. Paul, the Voice of Reason, and K-Dog, the Loose Cannon. Outlaw Radio Network next. Bye-bye.